It'll work its way out. Okay, so as you're going about your world building, how are you keeping everything straight? Are you writing your own Bible of terms and of tack is the money, and here's how much tack you need to equal this? Do you have a whole currency system worked out?
I do. It's awful. I hate this stuff, but world building and drafting are my nasty places, and revising is my joy place. So I write in Scrivener, and I'll never write in anything else because I love Scrivener. And so there's do you write in Scrivener? Are you aware of?
No, everybody keeps trying to convince me, and I'm aware of all of its advantages, and I'm still such an old man. I like Microsoft Word. I'm comfortable.
Oh, well, we just won't talk about that then. But there's places where you can keep your research files. And so every time, I have something new that I need to work out, whether it's, the currency or, names of whatever and links to things that I may have researched for world building purposes, I can just click over to them at any point and keep them all there. So I've always got running files. When I'm in the process of working everything out, I just type as I think. A new technique that I've started is a list of what ifs, and I just start writing sentences that begin with what if. What if blah, blah, blah happens? What if this? And it's amazing how that opens up your mind to possibilities, which is where I tend to get stuck in that planning phase sometimes, working out the money systems and all these little systems. And you think you have a direction for your story, and you forget that at that early phase, everything's a possibility. And for some reason, I tend to forget that. No, this has to happen. And then I try to force things, and I'm still learning how to get this thing right, So...
Well, I mean, would you want to keep writing if you had it 100% down and every time it was going to be perfect no matter what you did?
You're right, because it's a journey and a process, and it never ends. And I think that's the beauty of anything creative. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I still get frustrated,
One sin you manage to avoid, because I'm always a little bit wary of it. If I see a book with a dragon on it,
yeah.
I'm like, uh-oh. I might be in for a bit of a slog here, but it's Authoress' book. I'm reading it. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But I worry about, I've made fun of Tolkien before. I stand by it. I think he gets a lot of credit for being the first of his kind, and that's great and good for him. But there was some refining in the genre yet to be done. You want to skip the long singing, the long songs and poems, and we're going to Tom Bombadil's house, but don't worry, sooner or later there's going to be a ring and a fire, eventually, 2 books from now. But there's obviously intricate world building going on here, but you're never slowing the story down to tell us all the facts about this world. It never feels like a history lesson or a social studies lesson for a place that isn't real that I'm not going to. So how do you manage to work in all the details that we do need to know? But everything's going to add up by the time we get to the end. It makes sense. Like, oh yeah, no, I know how we got here, but without bogging the reader down. What was the process of getting there?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying that. That really means a lot to me because it's important to me not to bog down a story with too many details while still having a strong world. And, it's funny. I know we're not supposed to read our reviews, but I've read a bunch of them. And for the most part, I've been okay. And now I've gotten to the point where I only read the 4 and 5 ones. But
I believe there are authors who read their reviews and authors who lie about not reading their reviews.
Okay, maybe that's true. That's some coming clean, right? But one thing that has been frustrating is when some readers are saying there's just no world building. There's just no world building. And there could have been so much more world building. And I'm thinking to myself, there's so much world building. What there's not a lot of is description. And I think you're mixing the terms up because description does not equal world building. It's okay if readers get that. I mean, it's kind of an industry term, but I think that some reviewers and readers are using the term world building, and it's not what they mean. If there wasn't a world, then you wouldn't have a setting for the story. What you really mean is you wish I would have taken a paragraph to describe the mountains, or you wish I would have told you all the dragon, all the colors of their eyes in the cave. I mean, some writers are more descriptive, and some readers appreciate that, and that's fine because we all have different tastes. But oh my goodness, don't say there's not world building, because that's not what's missing. So I think that just because I've written so many novels, and like the first whole bunch of them just were slog fests, oh my goodness, and I go back and I look at them and I just see there's just so much weight, so much descriptive weight that I don't do anymore. I think that just going through the process over and over again with really good people editing and working with me. With my first agent, his first assistant, her name was Maddie. She worked on a couple books with me, and she was incredible. So she brought me to a whole new level. And then my current agent, Danielle, was his new assistant, and that's actually how our relationship began. So I actually worked on a couple novels with Danielle before she was ever my agent. That's how we knew we were a good fit. And she is an incredibly good editor as well. And so she took me to yet another level. So when you go through that process and you're culling things and you're learning to streamline, you're learning how to tighten, you're learning how to create the world without bogging down the story, you just get a little bit better at it every time. So in that sense, I think that if Stormrise weren't my 13th book, it wouldn't be quite what it is. For sure, it wouldn't be. There would be too many words in it.
Well, there's probably, and I never want to put my own baggage on other writers, but I think that at least in my case, I had to get some stuff out of my system before that way it could just be gone and over there. All right, I did the weird thing that I always wanted to do. No one can say I didn't. Now let's put that on the shelf where no one can read it, and let's focus on something someone might enjoy.
Right.